Hey friends, and welcome to the 𝐚𝐭 Homestead. I'm 𝐚𝐭, and today we are going to be talking about the difference between vacuum sealing and using Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers. Before we get started, if you didn't know, I have a whole food storage course that walks you through how to build a food storage that is suited for you and your family. You can check it out down below, and I also have a downloadable, printable that walks you through food storage, helps you keep organized, and is a great resource that I use whenever I'm doing anything with my food storage. So whenever I do videos doing Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, I get the question, can I just vacuum seal that? Well, yes and no. This is seriously one of the most common questions I get asked. That is why I am making a video, because these two cause a lot of confusion. They look similar, but they are not the same. To start out, let's talk about vacuum sealing. I have this rice right here that I vacuum sealed. To vacuum seal, you need a vacuum sealer, which is right here behind me. And if you want to vacuum seal anything in jars, you will need the special attachments, but you can get those on Amazon, not a big issue. When it comes to using Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers, the only thing you need is Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers. You do not have to vacuum seal your Mylar bag because you are using oxygen absorbers. And what oxygen absorbers do, literally like their name says, is they take all of the oxygen out of the air, because oxygen is something that is going to deteriorate your food storage. Oxygen, light, temperature, and moisture. So oxygen absorbers get rid of that. With vacuum sealing, this is more of a short-term, maybe a mid-term option and solution for food storage, whereas Mylar bags, because they take out all of the oxygen, can be long-term. So depending on what you're storing in Mylar bags, these can be up to 30 years, which is really cool. Vacuum sealing is not going to go long-term because eventually air is going to seep back into this bag or back into the jar, and you might not even notice. It is not going to be reliable for long-term storage. So if you wanted to store this rice long-term, you are going to want to store it in Mylar bags. These Mylar bags are thick, light is not getting through them, and then after you put everything in here, you use a heat clamp to seal it. So no oxygen, no air, nothing is getting in here as long as you store it properly. Whereas the bags that come with a vacuum sealer, these are eventually going to get punctured and just going to become porous and have air go back in. And that is why I'm saying you do not want to rely on this for a long-term solution, because it could be sitting in your long-term storage. You might not even know that air has gotten into it, and then moisture comes, and this will become a problem. When it comes to what you can store in vacuum sealing and Mylar bags, it's pretty similar, but you can do wet goods in vacuum sealed bags and put them in the freezer or the fridge. You're not going to put wet goods in your pantry. Most likely, I would like to know what you were storing if you were doing that. Whereas Mylar bags, when you are storing Mylar goods, they are going to be low fat content because that oil is going to go rancid over time, low moisture, so you're going to have your freeze-dried goods in here that have no moisture in them, and you are going to be looking long-term. I want you to think, whenever you are looking to store a food, what's the moisture content? What's the oil content? What's the use? Do you want it for long-term? Always go Mylar bag and oxygen absorber. If you want it for short-term, like me, I'm going to be using this rice in the next year. I'm just going to vacuum seal it because vacuum sealing goods is cheaper than getting Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers. These are also relatively affordable, but the rolls that come with your vacuum sealer or that you just get online, way cheaper and way more convenient. What's nice about vacuum sealing, I love, love, love how easy it is. Literally, this is the easiest machine ever. I've done some videos walking through how to vacuum seal, and it is so incredibly easy, whereas Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers, it's not a huge issue, but it can be a little bit time consuming because you got to take the stuff out of the package, put it in here, and then put in the oxygen absorber, and then seal it and label it. So it's more time intensive, I would say. Vacuum sealing, you do need the extra tool, or not the extra tool, you just need a vacuum sealer, but Mylar bags, you don't need anything. A freeze dryer is nice, but you can also just buy freeze-dried goods from the store and put them into a Mylar bag and oxygen absorber. Literally nothing is required. For Mylar bags, like I said, you don't want to do moisture, You don't want to do high fat foods. Whereas in vacuum sealing, you can because it's short term. They're not going to go rancid in there. But also if you're going to be storing something with moisture and fat content, I would recommend storing it in the fridge, or really going to depend on what you're storing and what your purpose is. Another thing that I love about Mylar is, like I mentioned, this is a thick bag, so I can store pastas in here. Pastas and rice become a little dicey in vacuum sealed bags because they have sharp edges sometimes. Like I think I stored some penne and vacuum sealed it, and then I came back to the bag and there was air in it because some of the penne was sharp, and this isn't as thick as a Mylar bag. I can store penne pasta, rice in here, no problem. This is a thick bag that is hard to puncture. But I've had that same problem with rice before. That's why this rice is in its bag that I got it in, because the bag is going to help make sure that the rice doesn't puncture the vacuum sealed bag. Another thing that I love about vacuum sealing is it helps me organize my pantry. So in here, this is baking powder, and I just used the special lid attachment. I vacuum sealed it, and it's gonna sit in my pantry because I'm gonna be using this when I'm baking and doing other cooking recipes and whatever I have going on in the kitchen. But the vacuum seal is more like an everyday use, keeping my food fresh in the fridge. I vacuum seal everything in my freezer because it creates so much room. Love it. On the other hand, I would not put my freezer food in a Mylar bag and then stack it in the freezer. That would just be overkill, and I just wouldn't want to do that. I don't know how oxygen absorbers would do in freezing temperatures. Vacuum sealer, everyday use, short-term storage, maybe mid-term, like 1 to 2 years with pastas and rice. But if you're going anything more than that, get yourself Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers. Seriously, you can store anything in here. You can store dehydrated vegetables and fruits, and I have freeze-dried milk, powdered milk, nuts, baking soda, salt, which you wouldn't want to put, or not salt, sugar you don't want to put an oxygen absorber in because it'll become hard as a rock, but you can put sugar. Like, these are so versatile, but in my mind, the vacuum sealing versus the Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers, completely different, and when I picture it completely different, that's what helps me keep things straight when I am working on my food storage. I hope that this cleared things up for you. If you had any questions, again, just simply put it in your mind, long term, short term, and then everything should fall into place after that. I also have videos of me doing the vacuum sealing and freeze drying to then put into Mylar bags, so you can kind of see the difference in the process. They are both amazing ways to store food, and they bring a lot of versatility into your kitchen, your pantry, and your food storage. So I would recommend using both because it is great to have variety, and I have used both of my vacuum sealed goods because I'm using those regularly whenever I get anything out of my freezer, and I have used my freeze-dried Mylar bagged goods whenever, you know, if I need some sweet corn, I'm gonna go and grab some sweet corn and rehydrate it. So I appreciate you guys watching. I hope this helped. I'm super passionate about food storage and helping people understand. Again, that was a question that I kept getting on my social post. Hey, can I just vacuum seal that? Yes and no. Let me just explain it. So thank you so much for spending your day here, your time here. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys next time. And don't do anything a 𝐚𝐿 won't do. Bye!